All right, a lot of trouble in paradise today. This is a new system, so all the configuration that I did for the last stream is kind of gone. So I am kind of facing a lot of issues. So I think I have the settings at its optimal right now. So this should be okay to go ahead. All right, so as mentioned, this particular video is going to be about installing Networker on a Linux system. The system that I have is a CentOS 7, at least I think it is. Let's quickly check. It should be somewhere up here. Du-du-du-du. Uh, version. Du-du-du. Okay, anyway, I can show it here at least. So this is EL7. So it's a version 7 of the RHEL kernel, but it's CentOS, the OS which I am using. And what you need would be basically an installation file. So let's go ahead and look at what files are required. So folks, as you drop in, don't forget to uh, just put a hi on the chat so that I know that know who exactly is joining the session, just to keep a track of who have been joining, all our sessions. So please go ahead and put a hi on the chat. So let's go ahead and look at the files. So I have 3 files here. So this is an old file. So let me just remove it so that we are not confused. Mhm. And in 5, we are going to install 19.6, so we don't need that. All right. So as I had mentioned in the earlier stream as well, so on the networker server or on a system that you would be using to manage networker, it is always recommended to install NRE. So that is going to be the first step here. So installing NRE, straightforward, RPM command. So RPM IVH, and we are going to install. And I'm not logged in as root, so I need to use. Hey, good morning. So let's go ahead and install the NRE first. So for folks who have not joined the last session, NRE is specifically just installing the Java runtime environment that is required for Apache mainly on the networker server. If it is on the system wherever you are using to manage networker, then the NRE is required for the Java applet, which is basically the network administrator that is launched on the Java applet. So we don't add servers on NRE. So basically what happens is NRE just gives you a it's also Java based, so it's going to end up, giving you an applet similar to how NMC works as well. And hey, Bhupendra. And NRE is just there with a kind of a login UI wherein you can put in the IP address of the network server that you want to connect to, and that's it. That's mainly it. The new server version doesn't need Java JRE. Basically, the new server would need JRE. So networker, I think it's going to be a little more intuitive today because we are on a Linux system. So it's easier for us to, look at things, the processes that are on the system. So the JRE or the Java runtime environment on the networker server is required for your Authc. So it's not actually the networker that is, it is part of networker which is using it, but it is essentially required for the Authc, which is running on a Apache server. And Apache is a Java-based application, and that is why you need JRE here. And I think that will be we will continue to use that. To the point that you are mentioning, uh, so basically what would happen is right now we have two options to log into Networker, for managing Networker, that is. One is the NMC, which is the Java applet based Networker administrator tool that you like download onto your system wherever you are managing the Networker from, and then you're launching the Java applet, and that applet is purely based on, you know, Java, so it needs Java runtime to basically work. And the other option that is available for us is the Networker web UI, and that is a HTML5 based system. And it is a server based system wherein the server or the Networker UI server is running on, wherever you have installed it. Could be a Networker server itself, or you could maintain a different system. It's not mandatory to install NMUI, NW, UI. NWUI is optional. There are not all features available in NWUI, but the thing is that NWUI is evolving and it is evolving fast, so it should, reach the same in par with the NMC capabilities, pretty soon. And as the other thing about NWUI is that NWUI is purely based on Networker REST API. So as the NWUI evolves, the REST API is going to evolve, which means that you have ample options to customize and control, networker operations using APIs, and wherein you can, do a lot of automation and integration with other tools. All right, let's continue with the NRE installation. So for NRE, right now, we will go ahead and run this configuration file. Let's go ahead and do that. So again, you need to be, it did run, but it is best to run it again because it was not able to do a lot of config here. So let's run it as sudo, and now it is able to complete the NRE configuration successfully. Let's clear the screen, go back. Mhm. Need to be installed in Jump. So you're talking about the NRE. NRE needs to be installed on the networker server, that's for sure, because we need a, as I said, a JRE or Java runtime environment on the server itself, and it's definitely on your Jump host wherever you're, you that you're using to manage network administrator, so that you have the right version of, Java in your on your Jump host. All right, so moving on, let's go ahead and install the networker components now. So compared to how the Windows installation happened, so Windows installation was straightforward. I think it was MSI or just an Windows installer wizard, wherein you just launch the wizard and all the options are available there, and you like selected options as you wanted a client, network server, an NMC, and so on and so forth. That is not the same when it comes to a Linux installation. On Linux, you need to select all the systems that you basically want uh, to be installed. So just one second. Yeah, just some. All right, and let's go ahead and unzip this. And to do this, we'll use this is star. Second. Alright, sorry about that. A lot of variation happening with the connection. I'm not really sure how healthy the stream is or how much you're able to see, but let's continue because this would be recorded, and anyway, you can come back and get this, you know, used, or you can look at this later. Anyway, let's see. Let's unzip this star minus xvf, and we are going to paste this here. And if you see, you will see all the installation files that are getting untarred. So again, GSTDB unload is meant for creating a database bundle for the earlier version of NMC and then migrating it to the newer version of NMC, which was pre 9.x to post 9.x. So we are not doing any migration here or upgradation, so we won't be using that. So let's see what files we have. So we have a subfolder created. Let's clear our screen and do an ls minus la. Let's just do let's do this. So ignore the meta files and the .res files. We'll look at all the RPMs first. And what we'll do for this particular stream is that we'll try to install it component by component and look at the services that each of the components generate. And that way you will have a better understanding of what components of Networker are supported or basically uh, uh, are spawning what kind of processes. So here the most basic component is the client component. So here you would see a client binary for RPM and a Debian. This is mainly because in the latest version of Networker, the Debian systems also support Networker server installation. So you would otherwise have the Debian only for the client and also for the storage node. I think before 19, but with the latest version, you have all the full support on Debian. So uh, let's go ahead and install the client first. And as I said, I'm going to do this in stages. If you would do this in your environment, you would actually go ahead and install all the components together, but just keep a track of what components are being installed. And then, you can go ahead and try that in your test environment or any work, test bench that you have. So let's do this command again, sudo, because I'm not logged in as root. So we need to use sudo for the installation. Then we have RPM, and then I have the switches I, which is install, verbose, and hash, which mainly means that we need to have just to track the installation. So let's go ahead and paste this here. Put in the password, and the client is getting installed now. Next, what we are going to do is let's go ahead and so if I do a ps -ef and an nsr, so we don't have any services for Networker running. So what we could do is let's go ahead and do a start of the Networker server. Sorry, Networker start, and it is going to ask for my password. My H stands for hash. So if I have to scroll back, so you see this progress that RPM shows. So this is because of the H that we have here. Otherwise, it would not show you the progress as the installation continues. Access denied, yes, of course, because I am not a root user. Let me log in as root, and then where is this? Yep, right here. Let's start the service, and let's take a look at the services now. Grep NSR. So right now, if you see, NSR execd is the only service which is running, and this is the basic networker client. So no matter what networker role you're trying to install, networker client should always be installed because it is the most basic component of networker. So let's go back and install some other components as well. Well, let me clear the screen to take you back up. All right. So once the networker client is done, the next binary that you would need for networker server is Authc as well. So Authc service is an additional service that is available on networker from 9.2 onwards, and this is mainly you know uh, taking in the role of the security aspects of networker. So earlier the security itself or the control for security, like user credentials and the user permissions and all were scattered between the NMC and the networker server. Now this has been centralized and offloaded from the networker server binary and then offloaded off the NMC binary and then created to form the Authc, which is essentially the Authc service. Now let's go ahead and install the Authc service next. Same commands again, vh, and then you go ahead and so this is the hash, no, the advantage of using hash. You see the progress. All right, so the installation is done, and now you have to configure your Authc service. So you have been presented with the script already. All you need to do is copy it and run it. So let me clear the screen so that we have a better look at this. I think we can increase this as well. And then, oh, most important thing you need to do is that you need to be a sudo. So as mentioned, the Java runtime environment is actually required by the Authc servers and not the networker, server or the client. So here, when you're configuring Authc, it is going to ask you where your GRE is. And since we have NRE installed, it actually detects it automatically that there is a Java runtime environment within the NRE, and it's going to ask if you want to use this NRE or if you want to use something else. So we're going to stick to the NRE version that we have, and then click on hit enter. And basically, right now, what it is doing is that, see, it's installing Apache Tomcat. So this is why we need the Java. So it is mainly for the Apache, which is again a Java uh, application. So should backup server be the auth server or NMC as the auth server? So if you want to use or install networker server or install the role of networker server on a particular system, then it is mandatory for you to install the Authc on that system. So it's one of the dependencies that we have. So without Authc, your networker server won't install. Maybe I can show you that. Quickly, let me go ahead and complete this configuration. So specify the keystore password. So let's give it a keystore password. So this is basically to encrypt the key store, or you can say the database of Authc, wherein it stores all the authentication related information. So again, now this particular prompt is for uh, setting the password for the administrator. So if you're integrating this with any NMC, then this would be the administrator user credentials that you'd use to get into the network server. So let me add a password for that as well. It's gonna take a few seconds to basically install and configure Apache. Apache is already installed, but it needs to be configured and started. It's more of a web service, and if you know, it always runs on the port 1990. All the details are actually up here. All you need to do is read it, which we usually don't as administrators. We just need to get things going. So there we have it. The installation is done. Let me clear the screen. And let's go ahead and see if our Authc is running. It's not. So I would need to restart the service. Service start. I think the stream is not going very smooth because it's getting hung every now and then. Not really sure what the settings should be, and I do really apologize for all the bad experience here. So what we'll do is we'll just finish off the installation, and then I'm gonna close the stream, and let me go back, see how and what needs to be fixed, and uh, clear that out. All right, I have restarted the network of services. Yeah, I will just take a look at that now. So the daemon for Authc. Comment is not yet started. I'm sorry, I'm just doing this. So it should have started the Authc as well. But I don't see it here. Let's go ahead and stop networker and start it again. Right? So NSR Authc is actually the binary, by the way. And then started. Then let's see this. Okay. Let's take a look at the daemon.raw. Insert log daemon.raw. It is started, that's for sure. Why is there no Authc? I'm pretty sure it should start because Authc itself is independent of the network server. Will this help? S- just a second. Let me do one thing. Let me go ahead and install the rest of the components. Sorry, let's go ahead and how do we start? So you cannot start or stop the NSR auth individually. It starts with networker binaries, and if you have to stop it, you'll have to stop it with the networker binary itself. There's no separate script that we can use to stop just a networker Authc service. All right. So the next component we can go with, yeah, that might be something to do with the Apache itself. I think we need extended client for Authc. Don't remember though. Let's install this. So installing the extended client and then restarting the service again. All right. It's restarting. It's done. Let's check status. And ended failed state. Let me stop it and start again. So usually I don't install networker server in steps. So kind of new for me as well as to how things are going. Learning experience overall. So let's start it now. Excellent. Status is good. Oops. MSR. All right. I'm not able to see Authc. Let's continue with the installation and let's see if it comes after the rest of the components are installed. So next is the storage node on the list. So let's go ahead and install the storage node. H storage node preparing and should start installing in some time. There you go. Storage node is done. So if we do a rpm minus qa and grep for lgto, so we have now installed. Yes, definitely. For troubleshooting, we need to have trouble as well. But yeah, basic troubleshooting I'll definitely try to cover. So right now we have the client installed, the extended client, the Authc, and the storage node. So let's go ahead and complete the rest of the installation. So for server, these are all the dependencies that are in. So we could go ahead and install the networker server, which is in here. The command is pretty much going to be the same throughout. rpm minus ivh, and then paste this in. The only difference is we might have to restart this once. and it's just giving you a warning about the licensing changes that are in place. So I think this is pretty much similar throughout in after 18.2 or such, so wherein you have the served unserved license concept. So served license being a license that is applied centrally and can be then used by multiple data zones, and an unserved license is something that is used, like how earlier we used to use the network enablers, so it is bound to just one network server. So that is what it's basically saying here. So all installation require installation of Dell licensed server software when a served license is used, and unserved license does not require the Dell EMC license server. So having a so in case like you have a deal with Dell wherein you are having a central license that can be then leveraged to all the network data zones that you have, then you can go ahead with the networker license server. You can install it on the same server as your NMC host. If your environment is big enough, it's pretty obvious that you'll have a separate NMC server, so you can use the same server as a license server as well. So with the networker server installation done, I don't think it is automatically going to pick that up, but let's check status. Networker is down at the moment, so let's go ahead and start networker and then check status. We'll wait for a while. So you'll see that we have the NSR execd already up, CTLD is already up. NSRD is something that we are waiting on. We have some additional services already in here. All right, and here we have the Authc server that has been running. Part of the license file, I think the license file needs to be kept in the NSR folder. I'll take you there in a moment. So just want to make sure that our Authc service is up. I'm not able to see it yet because it says it is initiated it. Mm-mm. NSRD is up. That's good. All right. So let's do a quick ps-ef. RabbitMQ. The Auth server is actually running, but it's running with the Tomcat service. You can see that in here. Let's quickly take a look at the command reference guide. I think we should definitely do that. Let me try and see where the command reference guide is. Uh, duh, duh, duh. I think, yeah, let's skip it for the next session. Just want to just complete the installation in this session. But yeah, to answer your question, there should be a license folder here, which is LIC, and your file basically sits here in this particular folder. There is also another option to add the license file. All right. Sorry about the deviation. So we only be able to go to the NMC because the NMC is not installed yet. So let's go ahead and do that as well. So let's go back into the downloads and Linux. Go into and yeah, basically sudo rpm minus ih and look at the NMC. Where exactly is the NMC? Two, there it is. Let's go ahead and install this typo. And then you have to run the configuration as sudo as well. So we are not going to install any specific license or certificates. We're going to leave the database in the default location. We are not importing any of the old database. The network authentication host is the same as the backup server, which is NW Linux demo. Correct. License server is installed on NMC and made as license server, so that license can be installed on there. Correct. That's how you would do it if you're using a served license. Unserved license is directly applied to the network server. So we're gonna say yes, start the NMC server once the installation completes. And that is done. So what we'll do now is let's come to our, so this is one, so this was the question earlier as to how NRE looks like. So this is how NRE looks like. And basically you have no option to add networker servers in here. It's just that you have to either mention the host name or the IP address. Click on connect. Hey, hi Mahesh. So let's quickly try to launch this. Run. Wait for a while for the NMC to launch. This administrator credential is the one that you mentioned when you configured Authc. Certificate is yes. So the connection between the networker server and the NMC and also uh, the NMC and the workstation or the machine wherein you are using to manage is a HTTPS connection. So that is why you have a certificate error if in case you don't have the correct certificate installed on the NMC server. Just doing the normal configuration of the NMC wizard on first launch, which allows you to add the networker server to the managed networkers list and also adds the NMC client instance for an NMC backup to the respective networker server. So go ahead and launch this. I'm not sure this is visible, so let's go ahead and increase the font a little more. I think this should do it. Yep. So launch. And then the installation of the license can be even done in the networker server properties. Let's make sure that you have diagnostic mode enabled. Go to server properties, then you have this licensing tab. So you can either like browse for that particular file and add it in here, or you can just open the .lic file that you get from EMC and then add the contents of the file in here. Either will do. And then click on OK. Once the license is found valid, all the license server and all this information will be updated. So that's mostly it for this stream. I'm sorry about all the trouble, the delay in the start, and I think the quality was not up to the mark in this particular stream. So I'll try to fix that. Not sure. Between the week, I definitely don't get time to spend on this. That's mainly the reason why there is so much gap between all my videos. But yeah, I'll try to do my best. And also, as I think somebody Vishwanath had requested, we'll do some videos on troubleshooting. What you could do is you could bring me a few scenarios of issues, and we'll try to see how to troubleshoot those. And I'll bring come up with a few, kind of generic scenarios or troubleshooting steps as well. All right, that's it. Thank you everyone who has joined in today. I know it was a very thin crowd today, but no matter what, thank you very much for being here. You guys have a nice weekend. Bye bye.